brought Anna DeBeer, our senior, and Iko Jones, who's in her 27th year as a Cardinal.
Yep.
Our grandma, we call her. No, she's just in her 6th year. She had a red shirt and she's using her COVID year, so she's doing fine. And then our coach Danny Busboom. And our first match is this Saturday at 3. It's the red and black scrimmage. I'll kind of give you a preview of what's going to happen this year. And then right after that, not next week, but the weekend after, we'll start with the Cardinal Classic tournament in L&N Arena. Okay? You want to make some opening statements, Andy?
Sure. Thank you all for being here. We're excited for the 2023 season. We had an awesome trip to Brazil this summer. Everybody was allowed to go, which was exciting to be able to work with the freshmen and the transfers and really get a good feel for this team. So it's been great to kind of parlay that trip to Brazil into this preseason and really just hit the ground running from day one. So yes, we're very excited about the red-black scrimmage and our schedule. It's a very tough non-conference schedule, but we know from years past that we play great teams to hopefully set ourselves up for a great run in the tournament.
On the court, how much does the Brazil trip help? And it obviously you learned something about your team. How much does that help?
It helps a ton, especially when you consider that freshmen and transfers are allowed to go. You know, back in the day, freshmen were not allowed to go on foreign tours, so it was just great to be able to learn about them and have our players learn about them and just feel like in August you can get started and you don't have to go through the drills and get to know each other and do a bunch of team bonding. We did all that this summer, so we can really just focus on volleyball and the task at hand. So huge advantage to go on a foreign tour.
You've got two obviously pretty decent players over here sitting with you, but talk a little bit about the losses you had that you're going to have to look at every place we're going.
Yeah, well, we lost 3 All-Americans, so those were 3 huge pieces. But we returned some All-Americans and we added some great pieces. So of course we're looking to replace them, but we're not in a spot where they're irreplaceable or we didn't have a plan. So we had a plan of who potentially could replace them, and then of course the returners that are here, including these 2, will have to step up a little bit. And if they can each score 1 more point a set, that almost makes up for one of the All-American losses.
Danny, when you look at just what it's been like with this program the past couple of years, have you felt just that growing interest in the sport? But then also, when you're out recruiting and just trying to get people to U of L, have you seen just that difference these past couple of years?
Yeah, first and foremost, just nationally, the volleyball is growing, and ESPN just released their TV schedule, and it's by far the most volleyball matches they've ever televised on their main networks, which are ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU. So that's huge for our sport. As far as the city of Louisville, I think once they're allowed to come to matches when we are in the YUM and they can feel the intensity and they saw some great matches, they're hooked and they want more. And I think these women put on a great show. We talk about, of course, we're competing, we're playing a sport, but it's also a form of entertainment. And so we always want to keep that in mind when we step on the court, especially in the city of Louisville.
Echo, what brought you back for your 27th year? and how many degrees will you have when you're finished?
So I think, I would like to think that anyone, when posed with the opportunity to return to a program like this, it would be a no-brainer. But I think when the pandemic hit, of course, and the NCAA announced that they would award an extra year to those who were playing during that time, I think when I sat down with the coaches and they expressed to me like, hey, if this is a goal of yours, if you would like to stay, we'd love to have you. And I think, one, I was honored for them to say that, but 2, it's like to get 1 more year with these coaches and this program and this place with these people and to do my favorite thing, it was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna do it. So it didn't really take much thinking. I mean, I think, of course, we talk back and forth, like, is this in my best interest? Is this in the best interest of the program? But I mean, it means the world to me to have that opportunity, and I am making the most of it as we go on. And to the second part of your question, I graduated in 2022, too, with with a bachelor's in biology and a bachelor's in communication, and then next spring I'll graduate with a master's in communication.
Coach, having the 2 past seasons that you guys have had, NCAA Final Four, NCAA runner-up last year, what's it like entering a season knowing that really there's just one last step for you guys to accomplish?
Honestly, we don't think about that a ton, or I don't personally. I've realized how hard it is to reach Final Four, and especially to do it in back-to-back years. So to be able to string together multiple years in a row is pretty amazing. However, setting us to be in the hunt, setting us up to be in the mix, I think is the most important thing. And now our players understand what it takes to get there. They understand what they have to do this summer. They understand how important non-conference is. There's so many things that you don't really get until you go through it. And so to be able to go through that the last couple of years, I think it just sets the tone for the team and really just propels your leadership. And that's been our biggest advantage, I think, in the past few years, is we've had great leaders and they've been able to pass it down to new players.
This question for all 3 of you, but when you get that time this summer to be on the court with each other, I'm just wondering what you saw that was different from last season when you get some people leaving and then you bring in new faces, both when you're playing and then just having that time together as a team.
I saw a lot of different things. Our middle blocker position is going to look much different. Maya Tillman was a 4-year starter and one of the best blockers in the country. But we have PK and Kara Cressy, who are both 6'4" plus, and so Maya was 6'1", 6'2", so we have a little more size in the middle. I also think we could do a little more with double subbing. We've got multiple really good setters, and we brought in a great opposite, so there could be some opportunities to run not a different system, but to be a little more creative from a coaching standpoint. So I'm kind of excited just for the flexibility to feel like we can truly do that.
And I'm sure a lot of the fans out there would like to know, how is the knee? How are you feeling?
It's been great. Just keeping that brace on just to feel a little bit more comfortable, just because it's only like a year out and still doesn't feel the best, but I can still play and do everything I can. So just the brace to just have that comfortable feeling when I'm playing.
And you obviously have grown up around here and seen this program. Michael, you've obviously been around for a long time and seen this program. For both of you, the thought has always been, okay, this can be one of the best programs if they can do it. You've done it 2 years in a row to make the Final Four. How does that change the pressure within?
I think there's always that pressure. It's just how our team manages it. So just not comparing ourselves to the prior team, like I was saying, just having new people, new faces, transfers. You're going to have a lot of new faces, and that's just going to add to our team culture, and we got to figure that out each year. So I think just not comparing it to last year, but also just being ready for the challenge, just knowing, okay, we know what it's going to take to get there, and we're hungry for more. So we've been there, and I think this team has what it takes, and just the experience level for everyone who's been there. I think it'll be really exciting just knowing that we can be there and just handling all the challenges that come our way within the whole season.
I agree with everything Anna has said. I think too, pressure is a tough word. It's a tough question to answer because there's pressure that everyone else is wanting to put on you, but I think in our program we do a good job of keeping our pressure internal. I think back to 2019 when, I don't remember who tweeted it, but we were limping into the tournament, and then we took that on and we were like, okay, we're gonna enter with a limp and leave with a pip walk. So it was kind of like, so it's like, that people are expecting things of you, and when you do things back to back and things like that, everyone's like, oh, can they do it again? But for us, it's more like, we know what we're capable of. Everyone tries to be the best version of themselves, and then we take that one step at a time, and we just go as far as we can go. So we don't really think about the pressure. But like people said, we just try to do what we know we can do and play good volleyball and see where that takes us.
Anna, one of the things that jumps out to people who don't really know the sport that well is the velocity that you hit with. I'm curious, how many noses have you broken? And secondly, how do you know when to use the maximum velocity and when to take something off?
just finding that balance. Obviously, you don't want to tip on game point. You want to go out swinging, but just finding the ways to score in different ways, saving my shoulder a little bit, adding in some shots and everything, but just being low air and doing what I can. If I'm swinging too hard and making a lot of mistakes, then tone it down a little bit and find other ways to score. So I just think it's finding that healthy balance where you want to still be aggressive, but you don't want to be hurting the team in any way with just too many points given up. So I just think that's what I focus on, just trying to be balanced and consistent throughout the match.
What do you mean by low air?
Low air, like low hitting, like making mistakes, getting blocked, those types of things.
Given the opportunity, you're one of the unique programs, you have two places that you can call home court. What's your favorite?
I'm gonna have to say LNN is my favorite because that environment is just so intimate. You feel so close to the crowd, and at the same time, it's like you're serving and you feel like there's people on top of you watching you like toss the ball and serve it, and then we get to interact with our fans a lot more. But playing in the Yum is also really exciting. But I have to say I prefer our true home court.
I agree. I think there's a different type of feeling when we play at LNN, and it's always sold out. Everyone who's there experiences it, and it feels very good. Everyone's cheering, everyone's very loud. I just think the environment is perfect for volleyball, and you can have that in the Yum when you pack it for a regional match, but I think the Yum is amazing just to have a ton of fans in there, but something special about Element. Just we're always there, we're always practicing, it just feels like home.
I love LNN, but I appreciate the Yum and the amount of people that we can share the sport of volleyball with, and I think part of being a great program and a top program is the responsibility to continue to move the sport forward. So if we can't get more eyes on us, that's not really moving the sport forward. So I love playing at Yum, but I agree, I don't want to, it'd be hard to play there every single match because I do like to create the need or the demand. I think that's also important part of our program.
When y'all think back to your trip this summer, did you have a favorite part of it? Just, getting to see the towns and, the different places you got to visit?
It's hard to pick one favorite thing because the whole trip itself was just like insane. I think it was really cool to play all the matches. So like aside from all the touristy stuff and get to see all the like, cool places that we went to, I think just playing the volleyball game, it's different there. They're always very scrappy, competitive, and they were really good teams that we played against. So I think that was a cool part, just to be able to like see what it's like in Brazil and just kind of get a feel for how the matches were.
Yeah, mine is a little different. It's not volleyball related. There was a day when we got to our last destination, Ariel de Cabo, and we got to the hotel, we went down to the beach, and we just all, or most of us, just ran into the ocean, and the waves were crashing into us, and it was just like, it was the most carefree day maybe I've had all summer. And for me, it made me emotional because I was like, this is not just what life is about, but this is a team that we have. Like, we can go and kill a team in a new country, in a new gym, playing volleyball, but then we also remember to enjoy life. And I think that was a big day for me. That might have been my favorite part.
Danny, can you just speak a little bit more about having Aiko back and the conversations that you guys had when she was trying to make that decision?
Well, okay, I know Aiko's been here for, this will be her 6th season, but her experience in volleyball is a lot different than any of our other players. So she didn't grow up playing club or playing high school in an indoor gym. So I really felt like, to set her up for a great pro career, like any experience she can get now is just going to help her in the long run. So I think that was a big part of our conversation, just for her personally. Now for our program, is having the leadership and just the presence of Aiko is a huge positive. And we knew we would lose some key players the year before. And again, to keep us in the hunt, leadership is so important. So I think it was exciting that she was so excited about it.
In your schedule, every coach is intentional about how they set up a schedule. Some are easier, some are tougher. Yours is pretty darn tough. Is that indicated that you feel good about where you're at? I mean, you wanted to test this team.
Yeah, we know you have to get tested in the non-conference. I feel like you know, we have 3 games in a row. Everybody's looking at those games with Penn State, Kentucky, and Stanford. Likely, probably going to be 3 top 10 teams. And then we also have Washington State, who returns everybody. I think they have like 6 COVID seniors. So they're a team that's going to be really, really good. And, you know, I feel like it's a great mix of, you know, some games where hopefully we can experiment with some lineups and learn a little bit about some players, but then, you know, we're going to have to play great. And we want to test ourselves early so we can learn.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, just one last thing for Danny. How much experimentation do you allow yourself in early in the season, and when you feel like you have to pretty much lock in a rotation?
You know, I think this will be a little bit different than a lot of years. I do think we'll experiment a little bit more, and I just think getting experienced young players when we can, again, is going to help us in December, because I do think we're going to need potentially more players than we have in the past to contribute late in the year. So we want to get them experience early, make sure they feel comfortable, and I also think the amount of returners we have, and you know, Anna DeBeer had a knee injury. Aiko is a 6-year senior. We know, you know, freshmen's bodies are typically more fresh than a 6-year senior. We have, you know, Charity Looper, who's a transfer from UCLA, who has some knee stuff that we're gonna have to manage. And so I think luckily we have a great team, and so we'll be able to use different players. It will allow for a lot more rest than we've been able to do in the past. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to have a strong team in December. But I'm also looking forward to a little creativity as a coaching staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.